Welcome back to the Landlord Advocates channel. We have a lot to talk about today. As you may be aware, there are movements all over and initiatives all over the United States to stop rent payments, freeze rent payments, suspend rent payments, and forgive rent forever. Common organization called Rent Strike is behind a lot of that. Well, what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about that. We're going to look at different organizations that are supporting this initiative. We're going to look at a state legislature that's looking to pass laws similar to that. And really address how dangerous this is going to be to America. Let me begin. This is from the Reason.com website, a very good informational website. It says, localities, state governments, and federal governments have so far responded with a suspension on evictions. However, politicians and activists are starting to clamor for more radical solutions. Some renters have started to take things into their own hands too, with media outlets reporting a steady stream of stories about tenants organizing rent strikes. What I'm going to do now is go over, not state by state because we'd be here for a long time, but I'm going to touch upon a number of states and organizations and what their initiatives are in regards to not paying the rent. In California, they're in Santa Cruz, Drop Rent Santa Cruz, California. By its very name, Drop Rent, Forgive Rent. The LA Tenants Union, they want to extend by 2 months the rent holiday and free utilities. Now, what do they mean by a rent holiday? Not paying rent, they're going to consider it a holiday and it's a joyous time? Is that what they mean by that? Who knows? The Pasadena Tenants Union wants a full eviction moratorium and a rent suspension. The Tenant and Neighbors Council in Bay Area, California, they want rent suspension and rent forgiveness. Tenants Together California has a similar stance. In Florida, the Palm Beach County Tenants Union, they're supporting a nationwide rent strike, rent cancellation, and eviction protection. In Illinois, the Autonomous Tenants Union in Chicago, an indefinite freeze on collection of all rent and utility payments throughout this pandemic. Tenants United Hyde Park, which is on the south side of Chicago, they want a rent strike. In Iowa, the Iowa City Tenants Union, a 60-day moratorium on rent payments. We're going to hold off on New York because there's a lot there, and that's where our office is located, in upstate New York, Schenectady, New York to be exact. Ohio, Columbus Tenants Union, pushing for rent freeze and rent forgiveness. In Pennsylvania, the Philadelphia Tenants Union, currently working on total moratoriums on rent payments, evictions, and utility shutoffs. In Texas, Houston Tenants Union, moratorium 60 days of evictions and a rent freeze. In Washington, D.C., D.C. Tenants Union, rent freeze and a 2-year freeze on rent increases. Really? 2 years with no rent increases? I wonder if in Washington, D.C. there will be no tax increases for that same 2 years. We doubt it. Wisconsin, the Milwaukee Autonomous Tenants Union. Are you ready for this? Tenants Collective demanding moratoriums on evictions and arrests, housing for all, and free health care. They don't want too much, do they? When do they expect the people to come up with the money to pay for that? It'd be pretty hard to find that, isn't it? Now into New York. In New York, the Bushwick Housing Independence Project. They're working on a rent and utilities freeze. The Chinatown Tenants Union is in support of a rent strike. The Ridgewood Tenants Union in Queens, New York, endorsed the New York rent suspension petition. There is an organization in New York called the Housing Justice for All. They are the umbrella organization that is leading this rent suspension in New York. One of their positions is that they are looking to have 1 million renters to withhold their rent. Sia Weaver, who has coordinated that campaign, states, "We are trying to get the millions of people who are already not paying rent to do that together." Real noble cause, isn't it, not to pay your rent in the millions? What will that do to you when it comes time to when you're going to get evicted, if you in fact still have to pay that rent? Tenants up against the wall, says Jonathan Weston, Executive Director of Advocacy Group New York, Communities for Change. "So we are forcing a confrontation. If millions do not pay their rent, the state will have to step in." Is that really appropriate to say that the state should have to come in and take care of the rents that are not being paid by the tenant? Who's actually going to pay them? Who's going to be responsible for that rent? The tenant, the landlord has to forgive it, the state's going to pay it. Eventually somebody's going to have to pay, whether it be through taxes or the tenant's having to pay. We have to figure out which. There's an organization in Brooklyn, New York called Alma Realty. They own 7 buildings that has over 150 tenants. They have an organization called the Taipei Tenants Association. They sent a letter to the owners of Alma Realty stating that they are withholding the rent, whether by inability or solidarity, for 90 days starting May 1st. While we intend to withhold rent payments regardless of your response, we want to make explicitly clear that what we are asking for is your solidarity, support, and communication, the letter reads. Do they seriously believe that the landlords are going to join them arm in arm, hand in hand, and say, yes, we stand with you, all of you, not to pay the rent that you owe us. We stand behind you. Do they really believe that that's going to happen? Another organization in New York called the Right to Counsel New York Coalition. On their homepage, they had their mission statement. And I gotta be honest with the landlords, it's scary. It begins, we believe right to counsel isn't just about ensuring tenants have attorneys in housing court. It's about fighting to reclaim our city, our communities, to keep people in their homes, and to denormalize the violence of evictions. To denormalize the violence of evictions? What does that mean? Evictions are not violent. A landlord takes a tenant to court for not paying rent or a violation of the lease, or they just want them to move. The judge makes a ruling. If it is in favor of the landlord, that is the eviction. The sheriff or the marshal comes and removes the tenant from the property. I don't see anything violent about that. Another one of their initiatives is to building campaigns for an eviction-free New York City. Really? Eviction-free New York City? I don't know anywhere in the United States where there are no evictions that are going to happen. Never. Never going to happen. Evictions are going to continue no matter what. An initiative to say we want to never have evictions in New York City, That's a pie in the sky. Another one of their initiatives, we are running direct action campaigns, changing the laws to stop evictions, supporting the development of passionate and zealous attorneys committed to tenant power. Kind of scary there, tenant power. What is it that they want to do with that power? Currently in the state of New York, they are looking to pass a law in the Senate. It is law known as 8125A. Right now on your screen you are looking at sponsors and co-sponsors in the Senate and the Assembly of this law. There are numerous ones. There are 22 in the state Senate, and there are 18 in the Assembly right now as we speak. Basically, the crux of this law that they are looking to pass in New York is that all rent payments suspended for 90 days following the effective date of this act. Such residential tenant shall not and shall never be required to pay any rent waived during such time period. Never having to pay. Well, who's going to pay that? Who's going to take care of it? Who's going to help the landlord? Who's going to help? Then goes further on back to reason.com. So far, however, tenants' obligations to pay rent remain intact. Efforts to waive them could run into some serious constitutional problems, says Ethan Blevins, an attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation. There's a doctrine of necessity in Fifth Amendment takings cases. That's Fifth Amendment takings cases. We'll allude to that in just a second. Suspending evictions is a more questionable move, while forgiving rent altogether likely crosses a constitutional line, continues Blevin. At a minimum, he argues, governments that do suspend rent payments will owe landlords compensation for depriving them of the ability to make an economic return off their property. What he means by takings is that the government, by the name itself, will take possession of your property in such a way that you will not be able to convert it to an economic resource for you to pay your bills on that property. That they're telling you that for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you cannot evict the tenant, they can stay, they never have to pay you the rent, but yet you are still obligated to pay your bills associated with that property. To do something like this will create a catastrophic situation throughout the entire real estate and housing market all over the United States. A situation that we really never want to have to see, a situation we never want to have to deal with, a situation that will just bring about the demise of the economy, I believe, all over the United States. Here's hoping, my friends, we never have to worry or think about that happening. Here's hoping we'll never know what the results will be from that. To make that happen, you have got to take the initiative to talk to your state and local and federal representatives and let them know that these rent strikes, rent suspensions, rent waivers, forgiveness of rent cannot happen. We must stop it. We must halt these passages of laws and these initiatives, and we must do it now. Landlords, thank you for watching. We hope that you subscribe to our channel so that we can help you even more. There are more videos to follow. Until then, this is Matthew Lyman wishing you all good tidings, be safe, and take care.